The man became the mysterious killer's only remaining target, simply because staying close to him could calm the killer's rampage. Though they had nothing to do with each other, people still labeled them a twisted killer couple, as Ross had an innocent, pretty face. Panicking, he ran from the strange pursuer when the bell on him was suddenly knocked off. Unexpectedly, the pursuer's real target was the bell, which a kitten picked up while the stranger held a tracking card. Ross instinctively fled but returned to pick up the kitten, as the pursuer followed the sound of the bell to catch him. Just in time, a shot struck the pursuer's wrist, and a quiet young man with a gun stepped in to help Ross deal with the surrounding threats. "Risking yourself for a cat, you are too naive to survive here," he scolded, while Ross insisted he could not leave the little creature behind. The stranger locked many people inside the church. "I can't save them alone," the young man sighed. "Let us go. Saving them might be our only way out." And so Ross lured the young man into the church, but when they opened the doors, it was completely empty. Realizing something was wrong, the young man pointed his gun at Ross. "You lied to me." Ross hugged the cat and smirked. "Being naive does not keep you alive here." He put down the cat and called, "Darling," as countless chains suddenly restrained the young man. Jack emerged from behind a stone pillar with a toolbox. "This one meets the criteria." Ross happily leaned against Jack, calling him their ideal target, but Jack stepped aside from his touch. Jack silently put on gloves, and Ross handed him a tool, complaining, "You treat me colder than that blade hurts more, too." Hearing them, the young man panicked. "You two are that infamous killer duo." Jack impatiently pressed the tool to his neck. "You are too noisy," he muttered, moving as if to silence him. When calm, the killer treated his partner coldly, but when his partner slept, he would bind him with chains out of habit. Although Ross had lured the target in, he still trembled watching Jack interrogate him harshly, prompting Jack to tell him to wait aside. After searching through the data for a long time, Jack finally found corrupted information showing signs of instability. He then returned to Ross and, without warning, held him close, instantly stabilizing the unstable energy. Ross pouted in protest. "Next time, warn me before making me do all the work." The system announced the mission's completion, and Jack walked off without looking back. Their region was called Online Heaven, a virtual world where the dead could live as digital beings alongside the living. Ross immediately told the shopkeeper what happened. "I almost did not make it back. These missions are formed from negative emotions and broken code. They are dangerous, and we only enter for rewards. Lately the missions have even more difficult creatures. One almost captured me today, if not for my partner protecting me." The shopkeeper sympathized. "Be careful. Don't get hurt." Jack quietly returned to the room. Ross apologized for Jack's behavior and returned as well. After showering, he stared into the mirror, thinking he saw a strange mark on his chest. Suddenly, someone knocked. Ross curled up by the door in discomfort until Jack carried him to the bed, lightly patting his cheeks in worry. "That corrupted data affected you too?" Ross suddenly opened his eyes with a playful smile. "So you can care about people? Then why were you so harsh to me in the mission?" Seeing he was fine, Jack instantly turned cold again. "Good." But then he grabbed Ross's hand. "Who said I am fine? You force me to decode non-stop. I am not made of steel." Avoiding Ross's gaze, Jack muttered, "The faster I decode, the better for both of us." Ross protested, reminding him that they were officially registered as a loving couple and Jack needed to act the part. Ross placed Jack's hand on his head. "I am not feeling well. Care for me a little." Surprisingly, Jack obeyed. "Sorry. I was too rough." He then turned away. "Get some rest." Ross could not help smiling. Jack was strangely cute when caring. In his sleep, Ross heard chains rattling and woke to find himself restrained again. Struggling made the chains tighten until a hand touched the back of his neck. "Didn't expect to see you here," someone said. A handsome stranger Ross did not know appeared, and he tried to break free. Jack snapped his fingers, making the chains tighten further, then brought Ross into a strange enclosed space, approaching him with a tool. Ross protested, "You have got the wrong person. I do not know you. You are looking for someone else." Jack pressed the cold tool to his chin. "I will confirm that myself," moving the tool downward as if examining him. Terrified, Ross begged him to stop. The floor shifted as Jack began a harsh but non-graphic inspection, warning Ross to hold still. Ignoring Ross's complaints, Jack continued checking the energy around his chest, until Ross stopped resisting. Jack finally found what he was looking for, a fragment of Ross's sealed memory. Ross's past clearly held something unpleasant, though unrelated to Jack's investigation, despite him resembling someone from it. When Ross fainted, Jack hesitated, his raised hand slowly dropping. The entire chamber shook violently, waking Ross. Something felt wrong about Jack's behavior. "Hey, let me go," Ross demanded, but Jack seemed unstable again. Jack lunged toward him, muttering, "Don't even think about it," his behavior growing erratic. Ross was captured and restrained for reasons beyond his understanding. The man had mistaken him for someone else. Ross cursed him and tried to leave, but Jack pushed him down. Don't run. Jack's strength overwhelmed him, and Ross grabbed a tool in panic. He attempted to strike Jack, but the previous damage had already restored. Jack was unaffected. Ross felt hopeless. Jack moved closer, and Ross bit him in frustration. Jack flinched and backed off, his eyes clearing as he realized the corrupted data inside him had been cleansed. What did you do to me? He demanded. Ross shook, replying, I should be asking you. Jack wiped his mouth and told Ross to leave, though he himself began losing control again. Ross tried to walk away, but Jack caught his hands and pushed him against the wall. What are you doing now? Ross noticed Jack's unstable behavior returning. Snap out of it, stop, but Ross was too weak to fight. Exhausted, he could only cry in frustration as Jack clung to him like someone desperate for stability. When Jack finally released him, he regained clarity. I mistook you for someone else. Ross cut him off. Let me go. Ross pulled too hard and winced, and Jack stared at him silently before grabbing his arm again. Ross could barely stand. Let me go, you maniac. Jack tapped his chest, releasing the restraint. Just as Ross was leaving, Jack said, You are marked with my signature now. Wherever you go, I can find you. Ross jolted awake from the nightmare, trembling. Jack paused his cleaning, hearing the dream. Ross was drenched in cold sweat. Jack wanted to comfort him but hesitated. Do you need a day off? He reached out, then withdrew his hand as Ross shook his head. No. I will start selecting the next mission. Removing his earring, Ross said, Give me a moment. I will find it. Jack watched curiously. Use your access to send us to the mission backend. I will show you. With a snap, Jack shifted the scene. Colored data blocks floated around them, and Jack noticed a chaotic multicolored one. Ross told him it was not normal. He was lucky to spot it first. Ross handed Jack a lens. Here. Look at this. Through it, Jack saw normal data flows and corrupted ones being invaded by external data. Proudly, Ross explained that only he could detect such deeply hidden corruption. Jack worried people who entered missions risked corruption themselves. Ross pointed at his face. Only I can purify it, so treat me well. Jack stared for a moment, then nodded. I will. Suddenly he noticed a strange symbol. Shocked, he said, That is impossible. Heaven's emblem should not appear like this. Ross blinked. You never noticed. The missions we visited were not heaven. They were its opposite. Jack crushed the emblem block. Is it hell you are looking for? Without hesitation, he activated the next mission. Jack jumped in, landing in a monastery in 1952. The abbess stared in horror at a fallen young nun while others whispered nervously. Seeing strange marks and symbols on the ground, they feared it was punishment from something supernatural. The abbess silenced them. Father, where is the father? Bring him here. Jack pushed through the crowd. What happened? In the new mission, the erratic killer had become the monastery's priest, while Ross, whom he dragged along, was dressed as a nun begging for help. A crime occurred immediately upon entry, and 2 other mission players hurried over to ask what was going on. Claire is gone, someone explained. Jack examined the scene. Her death is unusual. There are strange markings. Dressed as a nun, Ross burst into exaggerated tears, claiming something haunting would return for them, drawing attention. He rushed into Jack's arms. Father, can I stay with you tonight? I am scared. Sister Ailing scolded him lightly and offered to stay with him instead, but Ross held her hand and insisted she accompany him to find the priest. Other nuns complained about Ross causing trouble until the deputy dean stopped them and assigned tasks for cleanup. Ross asked to stay and investigate. The dean refused until Jack spoke up for him. The group discussed the dangerous mission. They questioned Ross's nun disguise, and he explained it helped him gather information. The players agreed Jack's method of gathering people was effective, and they split into 2 teams. Ross mentioned a totem on the victim with a hidden number indicating she was the first. Jack asked if Ross could determine whether she died from corruption or storyline triggers, but Ross shook his head. Let us find somewhere private. I will scan the corrupted data source. Suddenly Ross grabbed Jack's arm. Darling, you have not given me today's kiss. When Jack froze, Ross whispered, Someone's following us. Jack played along. Ross suddenly shouted, Something dark ran past my feet. They found Ailing hiding behind a wall. Blushing, she apologized and ran off. Once alone, Jack and Ross relaxed. Ross summoned a small virtual bat, unaware a red-eyed crow was watching them from above.